Okay, so we have the option of the vanilla game or with a speed. We'll do vanilla. And it has a Super Game Boy background border, which is the entire reason why Super Game Boy is the entire reason why I have MGA set as my default Game Boy Color emulator. Because MGBA has the option to set up, use the Super Game Boy border schemes, which is really nice. I like it. All right. Sigma. No. Should be lower. Hmm. 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 Oh, forgive me. I was absorbed in thought. I am Sigmire of Katharina. And quite honestly, I have run flat up against a wall. Or a gate, I should say. The thing just won't budge. No matter how long I wait. Oh, and oh, how I have waited. And so here I sit, in quite a pickle, weighing my options, so to speak. Thank you. I with those. I do genuinely enjoy the reader lines, and I try to make them worth the 100 points. Remember, if you have any line from any piece of fiction you would like me to reenact, the line is there. So Castlevania Legends. Playing it on the Super Game Boy. Pretend that it's like we get the border and everything. It's actually something I'm really fond of. No, it's 2D. Let me pull up the Game Boy. There's a few games that have Super Game Boy borders like this, and it's the entire reason why I will MGBA. One for Klim that Klim will appreciate. And unlike playing these games on the Game Boy Color, you get a proper color palette, which is really nice. Honestly, it's the entire reason why I'll do it. Metroid 2, which apparently doesn't have one, but I always have it in my head that it does. And of course, who can forget? With separate borders for red, blue, and yellow. Super Game Boy was great. Genuinely was. I used to. It disappeared into time. It was kind of funny because I had a Super Game Boy, but I didn't have Game Boy games. And when I had Game Boy games, I didn't have a Super Game Boy anymore. Figure that shit out. Super Mario Land 2 have anything for it? That's surprising. But anyway, back to our scheduled content. Castlevania Legends. It did. You know what, mate? It's Donkey Kong 94 is actually the entire reason why I have this set up on all of my emulators. Because Donkey Kong 94's border and color palette are fantastic, and there's no other way to get them. Like, look at this. It's Donkey Kong. It's styled as like the Donkey Kong arcade machine, and the colors are great. And there's no official way to play this in color anymore. Nintendo doesn't offer it. So if you play, like, if you have Switch Online and you play Donkey Kong 94, which is on the Game Boy selection, you don't get the color palette. And I think that's a massive missed opportunity because it looks so much better this way. And it's such a good idea. It is absolutely a fantastic game. The defining version of Donkey Kong, in my opinion. Do I want to turn color correct? No, I like the oversaturation of playing Game Boy Color games. Yeah, so like it's the entire reason why I use MGBA when I'm playing Game Boy Color games, just in case they Super Game Boy compatibility. And let me see here on video. Use Super Game Boy borders. So when it's like you turn this on, and whenever you play a Game Boy game that you has Super Game Boy compatibility, there you go. It's on, right? And it's absolutely recommended. Standard. This is the tale of a young girl's struggle to single-handedly push Dracula's dick. This is Sonia Belmont. So the Game Boy Castlevania games move slower than you might be used to. It's not like classic Castlevania is a fast-paced game, but the Game Boy Castlevania games move slower than you might be used to, because they are very specifically designed around like not having the ghosting of an original DMG model screen be a problem. A lot of early Game Boy games had that as an issue with like fast-paced sprites and such. So they'd be difficult to see on the DMG screen. The 3 Castlevania games are deliberately slower to prevent that. You can die. It's also why there are speed hacks available for them, because there are people who feel like it's too slow. So, Sonia Belmont is the only female Belmont to ever be playable. She was designated non-canon by Koji Igarashi. When he took the helm of the series. You can find the translated version of the interview, where it's translated as him saying he didn't believe people would accept a woman doing this, like fighting Dracula and such. It's believed that that's kind of a misrepresented translation. I think, more than anything, the real reason why this game's non-canon is because it sets up what could very well be a somewhat controversial origin for the Belmonts. Because at the time this game came out, I believe it was the earliest set in the timeline. And we're not going to spoil what the controversy is, we'll get to it. You know me, I'm a big believer of not spoiling things so you guys can experience it naturally. As far as Castlevania on the Game Boy goes, though, like, it's pretty solid. Nothing wrong with it, really. It's not as good as the previous game, Belmont's Revenge. But it's far better than the first Game Boy Castlevania game, The Adventure. Really, it just happens again. That's crazy. Well, fuck that. Incidentally, the previous game, Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, was my second Castlevania game. And boy, it'll be fun to go back to that, because I've not played that game past like one stage in a very long time. this game continues some of the conventions that were exclusive to the Game Boy Castlevania games. Like, the Game Boy Castlevania games don't have stairs, which is a long-standing tradition of classic Castlevania games, and instead they have ropes. There's also the third level of the whip being a fireball. Which can be quite nice. Oh, god damn it. Alright, you enjoy your bank trip, Clem. Thanks for joining us. You take care of yourself. Those traps are gonna continue to piss me off, I know it. Is this a trap? A screen scrolling does not feel great. Meat. Right. Can I get high enough from here? No. The fully controllable jump is kind of an oddity. Though I think what is really worth noting with this is the only classic-style Castlevania game released after Symphony of the Night that isn't a remake. Because after this we had Dracula X Chronicles on PSP, remake of Rondo of Blood. The Adventure Rebirth on WiiWare, remake of The Adventure. And eventually Haunted Castle Revisited, remake of Haunted Castle. Oh, there was another one. So, we have a soul weapon now, the tornado. And it's odd that it's presented as a tornado, because it's pretty, like, I'm pretty sure it's the stopwatch. Gonna be honest with you, I'm not super familiar with Legends. They've only beaten it once. Mostly because, like, if I've had the option and I want to play a classic Castlevania game, there's so much other better stuff to go for. Like I say, I've not really even touched Belmont's Revenge in 25 years. I don't tend to look at the Game Boy a lot for games to just play on my own time. Probably part of the reason why I've still not finished Link's Awakening. We'll get there one day, though. Every now and then, I've not really played much of Wario Land. Every now and then I'll try and go back to the Mario game I did have on Game Boy, Mario Land 2. And I'll do a little bit of it, but it won't keep my attention that long. Even though I know it's a good game and I've enjoyed it before. Just not again, like, I don't really go back to the Game Boy for stuff to play. is if I choose a classic Mario game to play through on my own time, it's almost always Super Mario World, and if I feel like I shouldn't play Mario World because I've done it too much lately, then it's Super Mario Brothers 3. Yeah, they're just gone. That's cruel. Possibly games for stream. The Mario Land games definitely are. Honestly, I don't necessarily think so. I think it's just that there's so much else. And, like, I have a stronger connection with the Super Nintendo, and then, like, same with PlayStation, stronger connection with that. I had more on them. Like the Mega Drive, I never really look at the Mega Drive for games to just play in my own time. I recognize there are good games there. But it's rare I'll sit down and play through an entire Mega Drive game. But it is absolutely one of those things, like, that's kind of what the stream is for, in a lot of ways. Like, if I check real quick, the Wheel of Non-RPG... I'm sure Mario Land is one of the Mario games. Yeah, the original Super Mario Land. Awakening on there. Good game. I can't 94. Looks like 3 games. I think part of it is, like, for as large as the library is, it's not great. As somebody who's, like, mostly into RPGs, any RPGs that are on the Game Boy, how the fuck... No, let me read. A non-RPG. Final Fantasy Adventure Like, RPGs on the Game Boy tend to be, like, very grindy. Like, that's, I don't know with it. But that's, like, the same reason why I don't go back to RPGs on the NES. I don't care if the original Mother is a certified classic. As far as stream goes as well, like, it's absolutely something you can find with, Teek's stream. Because Teek's done quite a few Game Boy games. He's recently been going through the Final Fantasy Legend games on Saturdays. And, like, let me tell you, they're not pleasant to listen to. That's an issue with them. Very few Game Boy games, audio-wise, But no, I think mostly it's just those reasons I've stated. Also, like, a lot of Game Boy games are also inferior versions of NES games. It's like I wouldn't play any of the Mega Man games on Game Boy except maybe Mega Man 5. Because it's an original game. Wouldn't play DuckTales. Wouldn't really play Donkey Kong Land. Metroid 2 is always something I'm like, maybe. Part of the issue with that is like how big Samus's sprite is. How difficult, by difficult, targeting the Metroids are. And as far as like Metroid 2's story goes, I've been thinking about on stream would be either Turns or AM. Even AM2R, though, with like its much better control scheme, still has a real issue of actually fighting the Metroids. Could potentially do all of them. I don't know. I'm not. I will say, like, the only mainline Metroid game I'm ever going to say is, like, pretty much an always no is the original. And, like, probably Federation 4. That's the only reason why I would do that. Okay, so that makes me invincible as well, so that's worth knowing. That's not gonna go. There we go. I think there's also a hesitation for doing Game Boy games on stream. For like a similar reason why there's a hesitation for doing NES games on the stream. Of like, in a lot of cases, probably want practice for them. They're not easy. And, like, one thing you absolutely don't want on stream is being stuck in one thing for however long, like, multiple hours. I did go back to Kirby, and with Kirby, Kirby is not a difficult game. I don't think any of the Kirbys are particularly difficult. And we could do Kirby. Like, probably, I'd be reasonably inclined to say we could do Kirby. And I have thought of, like, setting up, like, maybe a Kirby marathon of some sort. Thinking about it, I don't think we've done any Kirby on stream. There is one Kirby game on the wheel, and that is Kirby 64. Which I'm... Fuck off. Christ. Which I am actually playing... I'm actually playing through in my own time at the minute. Because I've never really played Kirby 64 very far. So I'm playing that on myself, on my Odin at the minute. I'm quite enjoying that. But again, like, Kirby is easy. I hate this enemy. Like what else is there? Like Game Boy games that I will generally be willing to play. Like I could play Tetris, not necessarily for the stream, but I feel like at this point Tetris has been around long enough and has so many different iterations that everybody has their own fuck off, their own preferred version of Tetris to play. And like Game Boy Tetris is not my preferred. My preferred is absolutely Tetris D. And like I don't like Pokemon. Take a look actually. Real quick through my games. Another Bible, that's a game I'm probably never going to really play. It's a tactical RPG in the Last Bible series, which is a spin off of Shin Megami Tensei. Don't know what these are. I would probably never play any of these for stream. It's not Batman Forever. Um, Batman Forever on the Game Boy is literally the same game as it was on console. Looks as bad as you'd expect. That. I'd have to be into Bionic Commando to want to do that on stream. Donkey Kong, yes. I wouldn't do any of these on stream because, like, do Donkey Kong Country. This I would do on stream. This would be the, until the announcement of Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD, the HD 2D, this would have been my preferred way of playing it. Playing Dragon Quest 1 and 2. Especially 1. But now we've got the HD version coming out, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I gotta do that. Gargoyle's Quest is a possibility. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Gargoyle's Quest is a genuine possibility. Yeah, we showed off Kid Dracula a little bit. Kirby, of course, yeah. Quirk. I feel like you've seen enough of Quirk on this stream, even if you aren't aware of it. Because if you remember all the way back when we did Nocturne, Sensei Nocturne, the Puzzle Boy stuff, I brought it up at the time. It is the same thing. Turned out Atlas has done this game as well, and that's why. So we've done enough of this. We did 20 levels of it. Shouldn't be going Sensei Nocturne. Awakening is absolutely and eventually. Lufia, maybe. I don't know. Mario Golf and Mario Tennis, I wouldn't necessarily be against. They're supposed to have like full story modes. Mario's Picross was a game I would play on and off in my own time. I've since moved on to playing Mario's Super Picross for the Super Famicom. Metal Gear Solid is going to be streamed at some point. It's Metal Gear Ghost Babel. It's included in the lineup idea of like the Metal Gear Marathon that I had in mind, and I might just like do it whenever, as like a time filler to do a Metal Gear game without moving on to MGS4 because I really just want a Master Collection Volume 2 announcement so I don't have to start with the PS3 for it. We already tried Gaiden, and like I played that for like 2, maybe 3 hours. Got enough out of that. Shantae, I do want to go through the Shantae series at some point. Say no to that. Super Mario Brothers DX. If I was more into the original Mario Brothers, this would be a yes, because it's supposed to be a really good version of the game, even despite the screen crunch. Mario Land, of course, which then also includes Wario Land. Zelda games. Yeah. Like, those are the games that I'm like, yeah, I would those on stream. Or, like, play in some capacity. This game definitely has too many occasions where you'll enter a new screen and an enemy will just be on top of you. It'll, like, hurt you immediately and there's nothing you can do about it. Why did I fall through the wheel? What the fuck was that? Okay, so that guy just despawned. Are they just not gonna give me a whip upgrade? I'll do that. I love these little traps that give you absolutely zero reward for dealing with them. And then will absolutely just throw you right back in there. your fucking whip upgrade. Got a minute until the ads start. Get out of this room. Alright. Let's start the ad. Go back. Let's die and get a game over. Honest to God, fuck these shadow monsters. I feel like I can't actually reliably hit them before they get me. And they're just spawning all the time. And why did I have to do that entire section there without any kind of whip upgrade? You know what? Alright, credit that I don't have to restart the entire stage. And I still have the sword. Alright. Okay, so if I just don't go over this side, which I know is a dead end, I don't get an upgrade? That feels like bullshit. I call that out, that's bullshit. And then it's spawning so fast, you'd think this is a Mega Man game. Alright. Okay, so my guess with that is that unlike other Castlevania games, the power-ups only spawn at the beginning of sections, as opposed to being tied to, like, as opposed to being tied to whether or not you've got a whip upgrade at the minute. Which just feels like bad design, but then you come into a room and that's what greets you with very little chance of defending yourself. And it's like, yeah, you know what? It probably is bad design. And it's still better than the adventure. Changing my stance on that. I don't like that you can't see boss health. Because it's replaced with the invincibility meter. I play Aria of Sorrow yet. Now, without the whip upgrade, there is not a good way of dealing with that. Should have played with the speed hack. Well, you put an enemy in a position like that that takes 5 hits to kill with spike pits below. It's like, you know what you're fucking doing with that. Yeah, that feels like a trap. What? I think this one's going firmly on the not recommended pile. Yeah, that's something. So there's only enough space on these ropes for you to just be on them. You press down at all and you're going off those ropes. Why did that still hurt me? Seriously, there's something really off about the way this game scrolls up and down. I don't want to say nauseating, but like, on the way there. Can't believe the knight just straight despawned. That's what happens when you have your enemies tied around spawn triggers like that, so they can respawn so much. Because you can see it happen in Mega Man, which does spawns like this. I think the easiest place to see it in Mega Man is Mega Man 2, in Airman stage. The chubby robots that aren't Airman that blow you along. It's not uncommon for you to get pushed back and then run forward, because once they're off screen, they're not pushing you anymore, they're just gone. And it's not uncommon to get pushed back a little bit enough, again and again and again, for it to just end up with those guys just despawning like that, because they've spawned in and out and in and out. If Mega Man didn't play so fast and loose with that idea anyway, and like it wasn't such a deliberate design decision, like you'd be like, it's not something you should do. But Mega Man kept that as a design idea. Oh, here he is. Oh, it's Alucard. Yeah, I didn't think it was true, but it... Alucard. I could say the same. What are you doing here? Listen to me, Sonia. This is not a place for someone like you. But Alucard, this problem concerns only me and my father. I've come to fight the lord of this castle. I cannot let my father, Count Dracula, get away with this. I must do this for my mother and for the world that she so dearly loved. Please understand, I'm the only one who can make amends for the sins committed by my father, and there is no reason for you to get involved. Well, Sonia, I could not bear to lose you too. I'll turn back. Thank you, Alucard. You're probably right. In fact, you've always made the right decision. I have no intention of going back now. Just as your father was granted strength from the evil deity to conquer the world, I've been granted strength to fight your father. I'll not run away. We will all decide our own fate. Was you taught me that, Alucard? Alright, Sonia. I'm gonna punch you in the stomach. I'll block. Ow. I had no idea you become so strong. Yeah, I'm kind of broken with this invincibility mode that I can activate at will. Looks like this time it is I who have learned a lesson. Alucard, did you purposely? No, Sonia, you have made me believe in your strength. Alucard, I am so sorry. Do not trouble yourself about it, Sonia. Now I must sleep. I fear we shall not meet again. Farewell, my beloved, my beautiful vampire hunter. Alucard. Alucard, I will never forget you. Farewell, dear Alucard. Yeah, so Alucard's just in this game to be a boss fight. And if you could tell by, like, if you weren't able to tell by the way I was reading the dialogue, there's clear sexual tension between them. They already know each other, have encountered each other before, and feelings for each other. It's not as good a love story as fucking Castlevania 3, which also had Alucard. Oh, I better climb up. Make sure I get my my whip upgrade that they won't give to me otherwise. I feel like the Miller line from Metal Gear Solid 5 would be appropriate right now. Why are we still here? Just to suffer? I should make that line a sound alert. I didn't feel well. Oh. I don't know what's going on with this monster, but it clearly has breasts. feel like these bats, with the way they respawn and the way they move, are like the worst bats I've faced in the series. Go again. Also, this whole thing of setting up potential alternate pathways on a screen and having them lead to dead ends with like no reward is such an odd design choice. It's like it's unclear which would be the right direction. You pick a direction, it's wrong, and you get nothing for your troubles. That's something, but the majority of these haven't had that. Absolutely worth going for that one. There's definitely an issue with the way this game handles sub-weapons. Whole soul weapon thing. Items that you get from bosses and you can just choose between. It's an interesting idea. The fact that they're not the traditional weapons. It means you can't really experiment with them so much to figure out what they do when, like, there are no big hearts and all of them cost like more than one heart each. First one being a time stop is kind of confusing. Well, especially when the symbol for it's a whirlwind. It's like, okay, so the fucking die. So the sun is a ranged attack. The fire is a screen clear. It's like, what's this? It is probably stuff that's explained in the manual, admittedly. Like, what each of them does, how many hearts they cost and everything. The Super Game Boy border is quite nice. Oh, here we go. Dracula, you shitbird. Yeah, and that line says that this is the first confrontation between Dracula and the Belmonts. Like, predating even Trevor. Nah. Immediately die. Immediately die. Why is there not a checkpoint at the Dracula fight? What kind of game like this doesn't have a checkpoint at the boss fight? What is this, Ninja Guide? Can have boss checkpoints before the boss fight. Might have done. I feel like I'd remember if it did. Remember they didn't have checkpoints between chapters. So if you died at the start of a chapter before you got to a save point, that was it. And like that was infuriating. Or if you wanted to end your session after a chapter, you had to go and find a save point. That was stupid. I can just hold the button to keep whipping? I have to go through this corridor again? The corridor was so long and boring. Why is it not just a checkpoint in Dracula? I didn't even get a game over. Yeah, you know what? I'm throwing a save state here because I'm not doing that again. It's fucking stupid. What do you mean lasted much longer than most? You said she was the first human we'd ever gotten here. Nope. Absolutely fucking not. Especially because from what I could tell, when I started off and went to jump to the side, the place where his head moved to is an active hitbox even if his head isn't there. So I took damage from something that was invisible, and I'm not fucking playing around with that kind of bullshit. His hitbox is bigger than his sprite. Yeah, there's not really any way to dodge a majority of that. The hitbox for everything is so fucking big. It's been an issue the entire game. Well, let's test this out real quick. No? Alright. So I was mistaken, and what was hitting me before was presumably these fireballs. But I'm done playing by this game's rules. Castlevania Legends, maybe don't play it. Seriously, that final boss would be less of a piece of shit if they put the proper checkpoint there. There's no good reason why you should have to go through again to get to Dracula. Whether you die to his first phase or second phase, it's fucking nonsense. Thank you, Ben. That kind of specific checkpointing nonsense is that reason why we're going to be doing the Japanese version of Castlevania 3 and not the American version. Because in the Japanese version, you die to Dracula, you start at the staircase, as it should be, as it traditionally is. In the American version, they changed it, so you started in the previous corridor. So you have to go through that again to get to Dracula to defeat him. This on top of them also making Dracula tougher. It's like, nah, I'm not doing that. Thank you, Ben. Like, it's frustrating as well, because, like, you can definitely see me getting better at the fight as we go. As, like, I've learned the pattern and how they're going to position the fireballs to dodge them, as bullshit as their hitboxes are. You can see I know what I'm doing as I play this thing. '99, I think? It was the last of the Game Boy games. Game Boy Trilogy. 97. So just after Symphony of the Night. Because it has Alucard's Symphony of the Night design in his portrait. And like I say, it's the last classic castle. That's done. We have 5 minutes so let's get that done. Spin the wheel again and find out what we're playing next week. Legends is still on this wheel. Speak of the devil. So, next time we'll be playing Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, the Japanese release known as Akumajo Densetsu, which, if you're going to play the game, is the version I recommend you play for multiple reasons we'll get into when you play it. So there you go, a double whammy. The John Morris playthrough of Castlevania Bloodlines and Castlevania Legends. All in all, both done in under 4 hours. Maybe don't play this. Not that you can legally play this at the minute. This is the only one of the Game Boy games that isn't available on the Anniversary Collection for some reason. I haven't included it in any of the collections. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining the stream here. I always really appreciate the support. Big special thank you to everyone in chat. Chat is always the best part of the stream. Icy, Clem, Peach, Bane. Thank you so much for joining me. That is always the best part of the stream. If we do stream again before Sunday, it'll be Wednesday, but it depends on how I am feeling. It'll be more Tales of Vesperia. With how inconsistently I'm streaming at the minute, I don't want to do the alternating between two. So I'm going to hold on to Shadow of the Colossus until we have finished Tales of Vesperia, and then we'll jump straight into Shadow of the Colossus. I apologize for the frustration during this game. You know, I don't like being angry on stream. There's a lot of poor design choices in this that are made to just trip the player up and extend the length of the game. And it's a design philosophy that should have been gone by 1997. But there it is. Wonder if it's any better in Japanese. But I feel like, particularly part of the reason why I'm here on stream is to entertain you guys. I feel like it's not entertaining when I get frustrated and just irritated. Minute and a half until the ad starts, and we don't want the ad. So, there's not really anything else to say, except thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic time of day. And, yeah. We'll catch you next time, guys. Bye.